Hello. So today we're going to work on glutes. Last week we worked on the hip joint to help with the knees. The hip is part of the glute. It is the medial and minimus, which are needed for a good shape to your glutes. But if you want projection, you'll need to eat more, which is one reason I wore my shirt today. Whenever you're trying to grow your glutes, you need to eat a lot more than you think. I've had some ladies that are trying to grow their glutes, and they're eating in a surplus but not enough. And everyone's different. Some people can eat in a minimal surplus and grow their glutes just fine, and then there's some that really need a really large surplus to get good growth. The next thing that is key to getting glute growth is the position in which you keep your hips during the movement. So one of the first things I'm going to have you do is what I call tilting your bucket. Your hips are your bucket, okay? So right now, this is my neutral, okay? What I'm going to do is tilt forward and tilt back. Tilt forward and tilt back. Okay, we're gonna do that a couple of times, and then you're gonna find your middle. So your middle, or my middle, is right here. Okay, so when I'm in center line, I'll feel my core holding my pelvis in place. Okay, I'll also, this is loose. The tightness is here and here, the upper or the lower back and the lower core. So it's holding me from this point, okay? If my back is up like this is gonna be squishy, okay? If my hips are forward, this can be really tight, and this right here is gonna be really loose. So you know when you found center line, whenever it's tighter here and here than it is either direction, okay? So, the key in the glute movements is keeping that center line, okay? So you don't want to be pushing your booty out in these movements. You want to hold your core tight, and even in some of them, you want to have a little bit of forward, okay? And kind of tilting your bucket up, okay? So, our first one here, make sure I can even see myself on here. Going this way, so I'm doing it on the staircase. I'm going to be using the second stair, and my back popped. Okay, so the key here, one thing that's actually good about the staircase is it's going to hold your head up for you, because you want to look down your body. One thing that I find is if you're able to look up with the movement, you almost always lose the core tension that you need for the movement to work the glute properly. So you'll start feeling it in your low back and things like that. Okay, so I want about a 90 degree with your legs here, with your knees, and then all you're gonna do is make sure that you're looking down and then squeeze your glutes to lift you up. And at this top movement, you're not going to have center line, you're going to tilt your bucket, okay? So you should feel tension in the low booty, okay? So let it release. Now notice I'm letting my hips come back. I'm tilting the bucket, and tilt the bucket forward, let the bucket release. Tilt your bucket forward and release, okay? This is called the scooping technique. So if you ever listen to the Glute Guru or, oh gosh, what's He's a doctor, a big guy, but it's a scoop technique. So let's go ahead and go with this. Let's do 15. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Notice I have my hands on my hips because it helps me feel which way my hips are sitting. Once you have done this more, you'll be able to recognize it. But I do, unless you have a mirror to watch yourself, you're watching yourself in the camera or whatever it is, tactile feeling of your body is really helpful. So you'll find a lot of times if you happen to see me at the gym or something and I'm doing something with my core, I'm almost always trying to feel my core to make sure I'm activating the right muscle. Let's do 2 more sets of these. Okay, make sure that you have about a 90 degree, and then tilt your bucket. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Now, I'm holding it here so you can kind of see, or I can feel, you can feel it's the lower glute, the middle of the glute, but not much of the upper glute that's holding your hips up here, okay? What we're gonna do, after this next round, we're gonna switch. Our backs are gonna be on the floor and our feet are gonna be high, okay? Little booty, a little break. And I do have a 25-pound kettlebell here. That would be considered a fairly light weight as far as any sort of hip thrust or bridge, but when you're first starting out, it is very helpful to have the weight fairly low so you can get the movement patterns down. Once you have gotten comfortable with the movements, you know what you're doing, the weights can really go up pretty fast. My first year of trying hip thrusts, it went up several hundred pounds. So I started with like 65 pounds in my hip thrust, and I got up around 300 and something in my first year. And it wasn't like that 65 pounds was light by any means whenever I started. But as long as you make it a priority to raise the weight, then it goes pretty fast as far as raising the weights and growth. All right, that was 15. So our next one, I forgot to sweep. Ew. Okay. So, oh, can't see me very well. Hold on. Move this just a little bit. Ignore all the mess behind me there. Okay. See better. Okay. All right, this one. Oh, the floor's cold. Okay. You want to drive through your heel. You're ready to push down into the staircase, okay? From here, you want to push down, so you're not pushing away, so you should not slide. If you start sliding, you know you're pushing in the wrong direction. Push straight down. You're going to think about pushing your rib cage down to the floor, and then push your hips up and tilt your bucket up. Okay? So keeping that rib cage down. So I'm going to put my little fingers here on the bottom of my rib cage, not underneath them, right on the bottom of my rib cage. So ribs down, hips up. Pushing straight down into the stair. Yes, this is a super awkward exercise when you're in the gym, but you just gotta live with it. If you want a butt, you gotta work through it. Work through the uncomfortableness. All right, that's 12. We're gonna take a little break. I don't know if anyone's watching right now because I can't see. I got old lady eyes. But if you're trying to grow your glutes, this is a good, these are good exercises. Even if you're not trying to grow your glutes, these are still amazing exercises, especially for posture. A strong butt helps with postural issues. So a lot of people, like whenever we tilted our buckets forward, that kind of sitting forward with your hips will almost indefinitely have the shoulders start to come down. And then you have those people that look like they're giant C's. If you have strong glutes that hold your hip in line, that sounded weird, that hold your hip in alignment, it naturally helps hold your upper body in the correct position. All right, so same thing. Push a little. There we go. All right, so rib cage down, hips up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more, 1, and 2. All right, our next one, all right, our next one, I'm gonna use this little guy. Stay in the frame without moving the camera around too much. All right, our next one is gonna work the glutes as well. This exercise, a lot of people get 2 names that they associate with the same thing, but it is not. A straight leg deadlift and a Romanian deadlift are not the same thing. A straight leg deadlift, your legs are completely straight, they're locked out. Your hips come back, they're still locked out. A Romanian deadlift is a slight bend in the knee, the hips come back, and you get this movement. You have a little bend in the knee the whole time. Okay, so you're not out here, it's right about here. Okay, the standard deadlift, your hips come back, and once you get to about your knee, you come straight down. So that's the differences, okay? We are gonna do a Romanian deadlift. The Romanian deadlift takes out the hamstring a little bit more and gives it to the glute for the movement. So we're gonna sit the hips back, keep that little bit of bend, grab your weight. You're gonna pull those shoulders back like you're trying to get the most proud chest you've ever had, okay? You're pushing your chest forward, and you're gonna squeeze your booty to lift you up. Sit the hip far back, squeeze the booty to lift you up. If you start feeling it in your low back, you are likely tilting just a little bit like this. Think about pushing your hips back so that the tilt of your bucket is not this way. We want to have that neutral alignment. So hold that core tight so your hips come back. You have that neutral alignment. Shoulders back, squeeze the booty. 3. I'm gonna go for 10. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. A little break. Now, one other thing that I find with people, with clients, is they don't hold their shoulders back in the movement. And a key thing to know if you're doing that or not is if your weight starts coming away from you. So if you come down and your weight's in front of you rather than close to your legs, you've let your arms come forward. So you want to pull your shoulders back, and it naturally pulls your hands close to your knees. Susie, Michelle, hi. Okay. So we're going to do this one more time. There we go. So sit the hips back, get that little bit of a bend, grab your weight, pull those shoulders back, and squeeze in the lower booty. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. So the next thing I want to mention is partial range of motion. So, closer so I can actually read. Okay, so if you are specifically trying to build a portion of the booty, partial range of motion can really help. Just like if you're doing a bicep curl and you make sure that you extend and contract the entire length, but if you're just doing that partial range of motion, you see it's just right there. So if you're just building in that short range, you're gonna get growth just in that short range, okay? So if you do what's called a calf bridge or a calf thrust, then you can kind of almost isolate where your growth can be, okay? So our next one here is going to be what they consider a pulse squat. So for the pulse squat, here, I'm gonna face you. I'll do one facing you and then I'll do one sideways. But for the pulse squat, I don't want too wide of a stance because the wider your legs are, the more inner leg that you're working. So you're gonna come down low, think about pointing your booty. Here, I'll do it this way so you can see. Point your booty down. So your butt comes down, not back, okay? So from here, booty down low, grab your weight, chest forward, think proud chest, come up. We're gonna come down halfway and then pause in this middle area. And it's a pulse, pulsing in that middle ground. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, it is key not to go too low or too high to finish the full range of motion. You want to get that just middle. Short break, and then I'll do one from this angle so you can kind of see where that sits, because I know it's hard to see it from forward. All about halfway, and then pulse in there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Wow. All right, our next one, we'll do the calves hip thrust. So we've already done a hip thrust. That was that first one. I'll show you again. So this movement, where you're on your staircase and you tilt your bucket up, that is a hip thrust, okay? Now, it's hard to do it because this stair, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna take that 25, or whatever weight you happen to have, we're gonna put on one side of the hip, okay? We're gonna hold it there, and we're gonna tilt that bucket. Now, this is the key part, looking down your body, you wanna make sure that one side is not sitting down low, or you're not pushing extra with that hip. We wanna make sure it's even, let it come back down, tilt, tilt. All right, we're gonna do 10 with it on one side, and then 10 on the other. Completely lost track of my number. I'm gonna say this is 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, switch it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so that is a partial range of motion because of the staircase, but we're gonna do a true cast on the next round, which means I'm not gonna let my butt hit this bottom stair. I'm just gonna go down enough that it's right above it and come back up. So it is a constant tension. There's no release of tension by letting my hip sit down on the step. I'm already out of breath. Trying to think. Also, the angle of which your legs are. If you're doing these, and you're here, if your legs are out like this, at a wide angle between your thigh and your calf, that you're gonna hit more of your hamstrings. The closer your feet are, the more quad you're gonna hit. So if you're starting to feel your quad activate in these movements, push your feet out just a little bit more and see if that helps. Now, for me and most people, a 90-degree is perfect for hitting just the lower portion of the glute and the upper portion of the hamstring, which you are going to hit your hamstring. This is gonna hit your hamstring, period. And it's gonna hit your quad. But where your leg is sitting is very important as far as what you are hitting more of. So close to your feet, the more quad, further out, the more ham. So you want it right in the middle so that your drive is through the hip or your glute, okay? So next set, put that right back on that leg, all right? Your 90-degree, and then driving through. I'm gonna come down just a little bit, back up. Now just a little bit, back up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold it up there. Switch. Go to the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Our next one is gonna be our last one. It's gonna be another deadlift, but we're gonna do partial range of motion so that we can focus on a certain area. Okay, so I'll vacuum next time. Okay, so this one, same position, hips back, knees a little bent. You're gonna grab your weight and you're gonna go from knee to mid-thigh, knee to mid-thigh, just from there. So here, little pulses. And that lower booty, upper hamstring is gonna start burning. We're gonna do 20 of these. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I feel that one. Take a little break, and then we'll do one last set, and then that'll be it. And if there's any questions or anything like that, go ahead and put them in there, and I'll try and answer them. Oh, my biscuits are burning. All right. Yeah, you should feel it right in here. The high hamstring, the low glute. Okay? Sitting the hip back, and those little knees a little bit. Going from knee, mid-thigh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you're doing these, if your weight is in your toe, that's not good. We want the weight either the midfoot or the heel. So you should be able to lift your toes up doing this. Not that you should, but you could. I have no idea what number I'm on. So for 1, 2 more. There we go. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Out of breath. I hope that was helpful. If there's any questions, either now or later, comment and I'll get to them as soon as I can. All right, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.